Hey guys, today I'm showing you exactly how to make perfect paper templates for custom floor mats made by Coco Mats in my 1979 Datsun 620 King Cab. Stick around and I'll show you the process step by step so you can send them off to Coco Mats and get floor mats that look factory perfect. Stay tuned. Getting ready to do some work on the interior. We did the floors before. You can see pour 15 in here. Did a bunch of rust repair. Might be able to show that at some point, but I need to start planning for the carpet. And so I'm gonna do custom floor mats in here. And the company that does those is Coco Mats. And so I've got these mats in one of my other cars and they're actually pretty nice. They've got a bunch of different materials, but the one I'm gonna go with is this. It's an interwoven black and brown. They have a bunch of different colors you can go with, and then they'll make them custom shapes and customize them if you've got floor hooks or whatever. And so they're really nice mats. They look nice. I like this pattern in particular, but there are a bunch of different other options that you can get. This is the Checker 107, but they're just nice mats, and you're not gonna buy a floor mat anywhere on the internet for a 79 Datsun King Cab. And so the only way to do it is to make it yourself or have somebody make it for you. And so just because I like this material, I'm just gonna, have one made. And like I said, I have this in my 1200. I don't think I've shown that on the channel yet. Maybe I will at some point, but they look really nice, really functional, and they fit really well because you measure them yourself. So basically the way the process works is you pay for the item up front. They send you some patterns if they have them in stock. And so here are two patterns for the front, driver and passenger. I'll test fit these and see how they fit. I'm guessing these won't be perfect fits, but they might be close. That was the case with the other mats that I did, which is okay because then they also send you some extra material, extra paper to add coverage, that's what it says. And basically what you'll do with this is you'll make a paper version of your floor mat. You'll draw in particulars of where you want foot pad or heel pad. And then if you have floor mat anchors or mat attachments, you'll indicate where those are. And you'll use these guys here to mark the heel pad location. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's not much to it. They send you a pen to trace with, and then they send you an envelope, which has the postage paid to send it back to them. And then they start making your mats. Once they make your mats, they send them right back to you, and then you fit them, and they should be exact match because you measured them to fit your floor pans. So I'm gonna do that here. The reason why I'm starting now, obviously it seems like kind of a weird time to start this because I'm not very far along, is because they have a long wait time. The current production time is about 4 weeks. And so the earlier I can get in here, measure these out, the better. I'll lay out the templates, see how they fit. All right, well, let's get started. We got a lot of work to do. Okay, so here is the driver mat. Let's see what this looks like. And apologies for the lighting. We had some thunderstorms here and we have no power, so that's why I'm not working on the door. Obviously, the door is still missing. Okay, what I'm seeing here is it has a very generic profile. Fits okay up here. We got this tongue and a little cutout relief for the gas pedal. And that goes down. Looks like over here, probably gonna need to extend this out a bit. The back looks okay, but then we have this gap here, so we want to fill that in. Might be a little long on this side. It's pretty tight over here. When I ordered this and asked if they had patterns, they said, yes, we have patterns, but you'll want to use the patterns and see how they fit your car. They might not be all that close. The pattern kit came from somebody else that submitted it, and they may be slightly different. Maybe their truck had an automatic transmission tunnel, different years, whatever the case may be. So you never know what the application was, so they always recommend to do this process and then make any adjustments you need and then send those back to them, and then they'll custom cut the mats and make them and send them back to you. So, all right, so we know we need to make some adjustments there. I think what they also noted on their website is that you'll want to leave a bit of a fudge factor in, and I can't remember if that was like a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch per side. I'll have to look that up. Didn't see it in the material, but I will double check that online before I finalize these, and I'll mention that. But I'm happy with this profile here. I think that's fine. I was kind of debating if I should take the mat up here onto this wheel well, but I'm a little hesitant because I know from the 1200 that the mat is pretty thick and it won't contour this that well. So it would sit up here, but most likely it would be all lifting here as well. So what I'll probably do is leave this just the black loop carpet. It's thinner, and so I can probably mold it to this a little bit better. And then I'll just leave this with this tongue over here and then just fit it up nicely over here. And maybe if I can find some sort of dead pedal or third pedal or something for a footrest here, that would be super cool. That would help hold in that loop carpet. So not sure on that one, but something to think about. So I'm happy with this one for now. We know we need to make some adjustments. Let's go look at the passenger side. Okay, got the passenger mat out here. And what I'm noticing is it appears to be cut backwards. I think this part actually has to go here. So let's do that real quick. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see here that fits pretty good. This kicks out over here. Fits pretty okay over here, but in this corner it might be hard to see just because the lighting. I need to bring it out a little further this way. Width-wise, probably pretty good actually between here. Might need to shave it down a little here. It's bunching here, so shave that. And then kind of the same thing I was talking about on this side versus the driver's side. If we have this mat stick up here over this wheel well, then it's most likely going to be causing a lift here just because of how thick it is. They don't contour. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is doing the same thing, and I'll cut this part off and leave this tongue and then make any minor adjustments, and then this side should be good to go. This looks a little closer than the driver's side, so not too bad. Let's take a look at the 1200 really quick and see how we did the mats in there, because the 1200 will have the same wheel wells on both sides, and I don't remember what I did. So let's go take a look at that. All right, here is a look at the footwells of the 1200. Apologies for the lighting again. We don't have power, so just kind of winging this at the moment. But here is the Coco Mats floor mat. Here is the same pattern. It is 107. It is the checkered pattern. So this is exactly what I'm going with. It's gonna look exactly like this. So we have the black loop. We have some, well, actually we didn't do padding on this one. Interesting. And maybe I'll do that on the truck too. That might be a good idea. Just to let these lay right over. This is kind of how the 1200 was. There wasn't black carpet all the way under. They essentially did a carpet on the trans tunnel and then floor mats. And so maybe that's what I'll end up doing over there as well. I'll think about that. Although I did buy carpet for the whole truck. We'll see. Here's kind of what I was talking about the tire well. This one's a lot smaller, but you can see when this folds up, it doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't contour all that well. It does a little, I guess, but not that well. I don't know, maybe I'll test fit this one out there and just see how it might fit kind of on the fence. We'll see. Okay, let's look at the driver's side. Okay, here is a look at the driver's side. So you can see the heel mat here. It is nice thick rubber. Okay, so what I did here, kind of ran it up the top. Again, it kind of contours that, but not super great, honestly. In this car, just because these wells are so small, I think it works. And it kind of does contour just a bit, but I don't think it's going to do that in the 620, at least not as well as this one does. I'll pull one of these mats and just see, and then I'll make some decisions based on that. So, all right, let's do that. Okay, yeah, you can see this one protrudes a lot more than the 1200. So, got the mat out of the 1200, and let's just get an idea of how that might lay. Yeah, it's a pretty stiff mat. I mean, these are nice mats. There's no doubt about it. They are just built so nice. Very thick, heavy mats. Gotta get an idea right there. That's, I don't know, not quite a ½ inch, maybe pretty close though. Let's flip it around, see if that makes any difference, and then might try it on the other side. Don't think I love it. Let's try the other side. It's just gonna be weird, honestly. It's just gonna fit a little too rigid, I think. So we might have to go with more of this pattern here. But let's try the other side. Okay, so this is a little bit better representation, I think. It was the passenger side mat in the 1200, and so it fits a little closer. You can kind of see under here, this is just not gonna relax with that right there. So, kind of unfortunate. I wish there was something we could do about that. Okay, well, yeah, I think what I'll have to do is just kind of do the tongue approach where the mat just comes up to here, cuts down here, something like that. And then this just remains that black loop, sound deadening of course, and then that black loop carpet on there, glued on or something like that. These are just too rigid to really fit. And I don't mind the look if it was to run all the way up there, but it might look nice to have, you know, a little contrast between the two. So I'm gonna do some thinking on this, and then I'll get cutting on those patterns. So either way, maybe I'll do a pattern for each and just then make a decision. It won't be hard. I'll just cut a little extra paper. Okay, it's been a couple days. Last time I was out working on the floor mats, we had a power outage, so apologies if that video footage was a little dark. Sitting here in the passenger side footwell, and I'm just taking another look at this mat and how it's sitting in here. Yeah, I think it's time to start cutting these templates and so we can get them back to Coco Mats. So let's get started on that. Let's pull this guy out. Okay, here is the template. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So I think the first thing I gotta do here is we'll start with this back line, this back part here on this seat cross member or riser here. It's flat, so I think I'll start with that as a base. And then we'll figure out what we need to do as far as clearances on either side here. I know there's a recommendation, so I'll look that up real quick. And then we'll figure out where this needs to be. Again, got this electrical over here that's tucked in the corner. I like the fit of this over here. That's looking pretty good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach a little extra paper that they supply with the kit to the back here. And then we got this wire here, so I'm going to, I'll probably notch out a little clearance for this mat to lay, and then we'll move on to start fitting this side and ultimately the front. So let's get this knocked out really quick. I'll get some paper cut out, put on there and taped up, and then we'll move on. Got that extra piece taped on there, marked out this corner where the wire is gonna come out, so I just kind of chamfered the edge there. I'll trim that off and allow this wire to pass up through here, out back to here. So I'm starting to look over on this side. I got a piece taped on here to extend it out. And then I'm just trying to kind of add a crease here so I know where to trim. They do give you this pen in the kit to mark out your pattern, so that's nice. So it's looking pretty good there. Coming over here, trying to get a feel here. It looks like we're a little high up here, so I'm gonna just make some marks where this should be trimmed, I think. And then I'll come back and I'll trim it a couple times. I'll smooth these lines out. So what they noted on their online documentation is their mats have a 1/4 inch grow rate, and so by the time they add the edge binding and all that, the mats may be a 1/4 inch wider than your template. So keep that in mind when you're coming through and you're building these patterns. You don't want to make them super tight because they may grow in either direction by a 1/4 inch. Okay. Coming up here. I was kind of thinking that this mat should come up here to this this point here. There's a little anchor here. I'm initially going to template this pattern here so it'll go up to here, and hopefully I can get an anchor point for the mat here. And then we'll come back down here, follow this line down. We're gonna need a little extra paper for this here, so let's get that attached. All right, so let me get a piece of paper for that. Okay, you got a little piece of paper here, and I'm gonna just attach it here. Let's see here. Let's just make some sketches for this side here. So this is the tight edge, so I'm gonna have to add a little clearance into that for sure. And then this is gonna come up to follow the wheel well, something like that. And then let's determine the height. Here is the anchor. Just allow this to come up. So do kind of a rounded edge. We'll fine tune that edge to make it look better. Do the same thing over here. We want these two edges to be symmetrical, of course, so. And we want this to be flat. We don't want it to be angled. That would be weird. Okay, so that would be the true angle of the carpet. If following the contours, and so now I guess we kind of just need to normalize it. So obviously that looks terrible, and so you can see what we're dealing with here. There's a little notch there. You know, that's pretty solid. So let's start trimming. Let's get this trimmed out here. Let's kind of normalize this curve here with something. And then let's figure out how to clean this up and make that look like something. So stand by, let's trim it out. Okay, got the pattern kind of cut out here. I just kind of using some round stuff that I had laying around the shop. So that's how I got these rounded corners, and they'll be repeatable from side to side. So nothing fancy about it at all. And you know, it's just paper. If you screw it up, add more paper and you recut it. So no big deal. So let's fit this in here. Okay, got this cut back here. I don't really mind how that's looking. I mean, it's gonna be a heavy carpet and I can kind of push that down. So it'll be a nice little gap. Plus the seat overhangs a little bit. So it's no big deal, you're not gonna see that. No point in fussing over that. Put that wire up for now. And let's look at the gap over here. Yep, that gap is looking good. That should be between that and that, 1/4 inch grow, no big deal. This corner's looking good. Probably take a tiny bit more off of here. Make a note, we'll cut it back just a touch more. Just allow for that 1/4 inch grow. I do have some gap back here. In between the two, you don't want like too big of a gap. So I'll take a little off. Not too much. This is looking good. Happy with that. Now comes the hard part. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do about this bump out here without making it look like a really ugly mat. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take my mat from the 1200 and lay it in here. Just get a sense of how flexible it would be if maybe I was just to continue this line up here. It might be enough flex to where it'd be generally okay and not have it stick out or protrude, you know, any gap behind it. Let's try that. So got the mat in here, and here's what I'm thinking. This does seem to lay flat enough, especially once that would be cut out. And so I think I'm pretty happy just to let that line naturally come down through here. Maybe we'll notch out just a section just to let it to lay flat. But also, after having this in here, kind of like this ear comes out, follows this over here. Right now I have it cut like this, but I don't mind that either. We just have to be a little mindful of this clearance over here. As long as it's low enough, we're fine with the heater valve there, but it looks good. We'll have it rounded over here. Over here, and it'll fall down. So it looks pretty good. All right, let's get this out of here. So we'll normalize this line a bit. We'll kind of take a template possibly off of the 1200 mat. Let's get this trimmed out here, like so. That'll allow that just to kind of lay a little bit easier. Let's see if we have to add some more paper or how we can get that little ear effect over there. Let's get that trimmed. Okay, got that. Looking pretty good around the edges. Got some extra tape here holding it in. Let's try to fit this mat one more time. Kind of idea how close we can snug that in there. And all I care about here is gonna be this line here, because that's the one that I wanna kind of model. Then that'll be the height. Okay, like that, come down here. All right, let's get that out and then redraw that edge and fit it one more time. Let's do it. Literally the only part of this pattern I needed was that little section. So, funny how that turns out. Okay, well, I'll finish this up. Try to just normalize this edge a little bit more, and then we'll test fit it one more time. Here is a look at the pattern. Kind of straighten that out a little bit. Got a little notch in here just to help with that bend once it gets up in there. Take out any bunching that might happen. That looks pretty good. I did trim this back a little bit just for that edge by the wheel well here. So that's looking good. Let's get this reset. Get our edges so we get that 1/4 inch. We can get it like an 1/8 on both ends. That'd be perfect. Okay. Oh, good there. Yep, that's looking good there. And then we got the anchor spot right there on the edge. Okay. Now, got it in there. This fitment wise is looking good. I'm just trying to visualize it, how this would look. Black carpet. This would be black loop carpet here. Now, what I'm trying to visualize is, would it look better if it was just a little lip right here rather than going all the way up? Can go all the way up. It's kind of how the factory would do it. Factory, of course, has a rubberized mats that would go all the way up here, but they're molded. I'm gonna sit and think about this one for a little bit, try to visualize that. But I think this pattern here is done. Happy with that. Happy with the overall clearance on all the sides. 1/4 inch around. That should be good. Not too tight. There's an anchor hole here. These mats don't really move around, to be honest. They are just so heavy. Once it kind of sits down in this pocket, they're not really gonna move. The only reason I want an anchor here is just to keep this flap coming back down like that. If I do go up that high. Otherwise, maybe something like that kind of would look good too. But then I'd have to do something back here with the black carpet, the loop carpet. So, okay, cool. That is that. Let's move over to the driver's side. Okay, back over here on the driver's side, got the template laid out. This one is gonna need some work for sure. One thing I was thinking of is for just symmetry. One thing that I might want to do in shortening the passenger side mat is to kind of match the height of the driver's side mat. Driver's side mat could go up a little higher as long as it doesn't interfere with the gas pedal. So I'll probably end up doing that, and then we'll see. Kind of compare the two once I get them in there. But I think I've showed this all before. All the edges are way, way off. So this looks like a generic template almost. So let's start adding some paper and then figuring out what we need to do. One thing I noticed here, we've got like a kick out here. I want to follow that, if you guys can see that. And then it kind of it swoops out this way, kind of like the other mat. So I kind of want to follow the symmetry from that one over here to match. And so I might actually end up bringing that one over here and kind of copying the pattern onto this one. Okay, let's start getting some paper attached here. Okay, just been adding some paper here and there. I'm gonna do the same right here. You can kind of see we're a little low here. So let's just add a little piece of paper, nothing fancy, you're just gonna add it right there. Don't even really have to think about it. Just toss it on and then kind of follow the pattern. Just kind of get that. All right, that's perfect. I'm gonna come down here. Just like that. That's pretty good. And then of course I'm gonna come back and I'm going to straighten these out and kind of normalize the line, meaning just making it look natural. So that's it, that's all there is to it. Nothing, you don't gotta get fancy with it. Gonna have to do the same thing in this corner. We're a little shy here on this corner. So let's knock that out real quick. Okay, got a piece in there, got that trimmed up. Let's get this pulled out, trim it up a little bit, and then we'll start to address whatever we've got going on right there. Okay, I think I got this fitting in here nicely. I kind of went through and made sure I got like a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch around on all the edges, so that's looking pretty good. And then around the gas pedal where it comes down, I want to make sure I had clearance here, make sure it's not going to bind into the pedal. And that looks pretty good. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mat and kind of measure the height here and then compare it over on this side and kind of scribe a line and just get a sense of how it would look if they were about the same height. I think that'll look good just to be somewhat symmetrical if you're sitting in the driver's seat. Standing up above, looking in, probably not going to see it too much, but from the driver's seat or the passenger seat, you will see the height difference. So I want to kind of make them the same if I can. All right, to get these leveled out, I tried measuring and it wasn't exactly right. So I actually just threw a laser on here to try to get a visual, and I think I've got that. So let's get that cut off. So I got that all trimmed off. I think I like that look better. They look even across the two, so that's great. I think the next step is going to be to find the anchors and get the heel rest in the right spot over there. So to get the heel pad location correct, it just says we take this X sticker and we put it on the location where our heel rests while we're driving. So kind of sitting here like this feels pretty good. I think it's gonna be probably hard to see, but just right by the E in the large down there. So I'll just place it right there. All right, so here are the templates. They're done. I went ahead and marked left and right and front and back on both of them. That's what the instructions said to do. I've got the little X there for where your foot rests while you're driving the vehicle. So this should be all I need to do. The last thing is I gotta write my name on them and then I just mail them off and I wait. All right, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more on this truck, feel free to subscribe. There'll be a lot more coming. I'll do another video once I get the mats back and get them installed. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on the passenger side door and the interior. Thanks for watching.